everyone's so worried about, what if they trash the house or whatever. I'm talking, they had chopped off stop signs, like street sign, like with the wooden post, like just up against the wall, like into the walls. Somebody had fallen through the attic in the sheetrock. Like I guess they were in the attic for something and fallen through in one of the bedrooms.
Oh my goodness!
Trashed beer pong tables everywhere. I mean, like in every room. I mean, it looked like a good time.
Yeah.
If you didn't own the house.
Sure.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way is the entrepreneur, Bo Knows How to Close. Welcome to the show, Bo.
Thank you.
This is actually super throwback. You were actually, I believe, episode 2 of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast. At that time, you had, this was like in the middle of COVID. I think we recorded, I listened to this earlier. I was kind of like, trying to get some notes from the previous show. We were doing this in the middle of like the dining room of your house.
During
super
quarantine.
Echoey.
Yeah, during quarantine, yeah.
Super fun. A lot of echoes in that. The sound quality was terrible. But things improve and we start to grow, and you have grown in your career. And
Look at us. Look at us.
We're middle of the studio. Super fun. But catch me up. What has happened since we recorded the last show?
So since that time, I have stepped away from teaching entirely. So that was finishing that 2020 school year. So now I am full-time real estate. So I'm selling.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm selling real estate. I'm investing in real estate. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome.
I'm a dad now.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Super cute.
Thanks.
You're taking him to closings that I see kind of like through your Instagram.
He's closed a couple deals. He's done a couple deals.
That's super fun. On that track, so not only are you a real estate agent, but you've also started to invest in real estate as well. You were telling me a little bit earlier, how many have you closed since that period of time?
So we are closing on Tuesday on me and a partner. We're closing on Tuesday on my 16th property.
Wow.
So in whether it's in partnership or solely between, personally, property number 16.
That is wild. And, to go from where you have this kind of like, really stable job, like that is kind of like, the jump and the leap. And that's what makes entrepreneurship so exciting. One of the things that I kind of like want to ask in here is, how did you get there? Everybody's so curious about how you actually make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. I get asked, I mean, people ask me all the time, and we were talking about going from that steady income, and I was telling you, like, look, you can go online right now and see what I was making as a teacher, and it's no secret. It's a public record.
What is a teacher's salary?
So I believe I had a master's degree, so I had a little bit of a pay bump, and then I was in year 5. So when you start teaching, you start with a base salary, you get bumps for how long you stay in.
Yeah.
And then I also had coaching supplements.
Okay.
I was a head coach, and I coached some assistant sports, so I had some other supplement income. So all in, my gross pay in my final year, which is my highest, was $47,000. Okay. So that was all in pre-taxes, which teachers are taxed really high. Just like police officers. Just your tax rate is high.
Understood.
So that's gross pay. So it's nothing. It's not bad. It's not you're not in poverty or anything like that.
Sure.
But it's not anything extravagant. And like I said, that was my highest year. So it's, what I tell people is you just got to save. I mean, what can you save? You know, and it's you've got to save. You got to get your credit up.
Yeah.
You got to get you've got to use your credit score. You got to use your credit cards. You got to get your credit score up, and you got to stack cash.
Sure.
I mean, what can you save? Can you save 10%? If you're bringing home $1,000, can you save 10%? If you're bringing home, if you are saving 10%, can you save 20%?
Yeah.
And what really helped us make the jump, first of all, having an amazing partner in life, Stephanie.
Yep.
We're on the same,
She is absolutely amazing.
Well, she's like the hardest worker there is.
Absolutely.
I mean, she grinds.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her sleep since since before that other podcast. She hasn't slept at all. But she's super supportive, and ever since we were together, we've been on track with saving money and just been on the same page. And I think if you don't have that, then it's going to fall apart. You know, if you're not on the same page with the person you're sharing your life with and your bank account with, it's not going to make any progress. But figure out what you can save. And what helped us the most was in the first year when we got married, which she was still working part-time at the time, is all the Georgia Southern would offer her. We just said, how much can we save? You know, and so we made it a mission to save 90% of my salary. So we're going to live on her salary, which is not very much, like $15,000, and 10% of my salary. And we were budgeting it down, and we just saved, we saved over $30,000 in a 12-month period.
That's amazing.
Just by grinding. I mean, eating at the house, not going out, those kinds of things.
Sure.
You know, and so, but doing that and saving that chunk of cash is what helped us get collateral to start the business, and then we invested that money in ourselves, in her, in starting the business. But once you save that nest egg of cash that you can, that's what's going to be the catalyst for you to make the next move.
Yeah.
And so I tell everybody, are you saving?
Yeah.
How much are you saving? Can you save more?
This is a super interesting topic because I think, you know, if we look at what the current state of culture is, everything is about almost the flex, right? You want to be able to show people what you're doing, show people kind of like, oh, this is what I have, right? This is where I'm at, you know, I'm traveling, so forth and so on, where they are not, you know, looking for kind of like what's happening on the back end, right? And that's so interesting because, like, you know, that is a huge part of what is going to give you financial freedom moving forward. It's like this almost like delayed gratification thing. And I want to talk to you about specifically, because you actually educated the youth for a period of time, you're starting to get a lot of questions about how do I achieve the things that you achieve, right? And, you know, what is the biggest challenge what is the biggest question that you're getting from the youth?
Well, it's not even a specific question. They just come to me and say, you know,
what do I do?
It's like, it's a little bit overwhelming. And I think what you brought up is a super good point, is the Instagram lifestyle. Influencers, I mean, and it's just like anything else, you know, 99% of influencers aren't making any money.
Sure.
You know, they're in a studio that looks like a private jet or whatever, you know. I mean, it's fake.
It's the fake flex.
It's the fake flex. And it's like, and even if it was a real flex, you know, who are you flexing for? You know,
Sure.
And I think it's just like, I utilize social media. It's great for business. I mean, it's great for connecting with people, but I try to be not a mindless scroller.
Sure.
You know, it's just, it sucks you in. It wastes your time.
Sure.
It's just not a productive use of your time most of the time. You know, if you're using it as a business owner or, you know, trying to connect with people that way, that's one thing. But I think it hurts the youth so much. I mean, in high school especially, which is where most of my experience is. I mean, and in college, because I work with a lot of college age people too in my other businesses. And it's like, it's too much time focusing on what other people are doing. Yeah, these people are traveling, and look at this car, and look at this, you know, and it's ridiculous. And it gets in your mind and makes you feel like you've got to compete, and it just sucks you into that consumer mindset.
How are you able to stay away from that? You know, like, I mean, obviously, I think there's a super unique story in here where, you know, you partnered with someone that is very driven herself. Stephanie, she's super driven. You know, how were you able to kind of like shy away from what everybody else potentially was falling into, was like, okay, well, I want the lifestyle. I want to show, so forth and so on.
Yeah, I deleted my Facebook. I had a Facebook when I was in high school and college, and then I was applying for teaching jobs, and all the advice I got from professors was like, hey, just delete your social media.
Really?
And I didn't have an Instagram, and I wasn't that big on it anyway. I just, you know, I had a Facebook. I might have had a Twitter at the time, you know, and I was never super active. And so it wasn't that big a deal. I was like, yeah, I'll just delete it until I get a job. And
Sure.
I got a job pretty quickly. It's actually the first one I interviewed with, but still, I just was like, I don't feel the need to go. And I remember, I mean, I was 23 or 24 at the time, and I was like, I don't miss it.
Sure.
I don't miss Facebook. Like, I don't, you know,
You don't care.
I don't care. Like, I didn't care. And so I didn't have Facebook again.
How long?
Until 2020. So that was from 20.
I remember when you came back onto that was the jam, dude. I was like, okay, Bo, no.
Yeah, Paul made me get a Facebook. He was like, look, if you're going to sell real estate, you need to connect with people. You need to, and he is 100% right.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of business through Facebook. I've done a couple purchases through Facebook. I've gotten a couple buildings under contract or properties under contract through Facebook. So it's been really good, but I don't try to be just a scroller.
What makes the youth so interested in that? I'm asking you this because you've dealt directly with them.
Well, in my opinion, it's just because it's been. First of all, I remember when Instagram and Facebook weren't a thing, and I remember when it was like, oh, I'm not gonna jump from MySpace. Like, I'm not gonna quit my MySpace to go to Facebook. I remember having that conversation, in whatever that was, like 9th grade.
You had a MySpace?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't look it up.
What was the handle?
Definitely don't look it up. Definitely. I need how much time until I can delete everything from that? No, but. But I think that these kids, it's been ingrained. I mean, when they were born, all this stuff existed.
Sure.
So it's never been like an opt-in or I got to make this or whatever. It's like, it's when am I going to make it, or I've always had it. My parents have it. I mean, it's ingrained in their culture.
Sure.
Just because that's the time that they were born, and so it's harder for them. I think. And first of all, I think it's more natural to them. Like I said, it's just always been around. I mean, it's like us talking about cars or whatever.
Sure.
Whereas we don't question.
Yeah.
Should we get a car? We get a car because we need to drive, and cars have always been around, and that's maybe a bad analogy, but it's just something that they don't question.
Well, the difference here is like cars are utility, right? Like, it's getting you from point A to point B. I think what's harmful is that, the world has so many opportunities. And in this, I think what is breaking apart is that people aren't able to explore because they are so hyper focused on making the next trend, like what everybody else talks about, right? And of course you can utilize for your business, and you can manage that. But I think what happens is they lose track of what is actually valuable
and what's real. That's what they lose track of. What's real. Or they don't know what's real.
Yeah.
It's like you can't tell. You can't differentiate who's flexing and who's real and who's and all that. And I've always had. I just have never really focused on what other people think about what I do, or anything. I never am focused on having the nicest clothes or the nicest shoes or nicest cars or anything like that. And maybe that's because I never had the money to do those things in the first place, and didn't grow up in Instagram culture. But regardless, I've never really cared about other people's opinions, and I think that's important. But it's also not necessarily possible for everybody. So like you said, there's so much out there and so many options, so many directions. And when I get questions from these high school and college age people, it's like, I'm so lost. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how to do anything with my money when I do get a job, and I don't know if I want to do this job forever, and that kind of thing. And so that's why I just try to give them a concrete step: is make money, save money.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And then it's how you invest it. But, I didn't make a ton of money. We weren't making a ton of money, but we just said, how much can we save? And if you can save 10% of your paycheck and pay yourself first. And Warren Buffett said that. Everybody says that. But what does that mean? That means when your paycheck comes in for $1,000, you take your $100 and you put it away before you break down anything else, right? Pay yourself first, put it where you need to put it, and put it in a savings account. Because everyone's, if you go on Instagram, you'll see all these people, cash is trash, diversify, invest, stock, crypto, real estate, whatever, do that. You can't do anything with $100.
Yeah.
You've got to save. So put it in a, I think Mark Cuban says this too, and he's like, save cash.
Yeah.
Save cash first. And
Yeah.
when you don't have real money, save cash. And then
save to what point? So at what point can you kind of start utilizing that cash in because what we're really talking about is investment, right?
Yep.
At what point did that transition for you, and what are you kind of what advice would you give to someone?
It's up to your personal risk tolerance. I felt like I'm very conservative with how much cash I feel like that I needed to feel comfortable. I think we talked about last time, the first time that I saved $1,000 in my savings account, and then I said, okay, I want to save $2,000, and then we saved a year's worth of take home was the goal.
Yeah.
And then I realized that potentially I was going to look at transitioning out from having my job. And I said, well, I would like to have 2 years worth of take home so I can feel comfortable. I feel like in 2 years I can kind of like
Figure it
do
out.
something. And it's like, yeah, I hope that I can figure it out. And if I haven't done anything in 2 years, maybe I'll just go back to my W-2 job and just accept that, which is fine too.
Sure.
But that's what I tell people, like, how much time, it's not how much money, it's how much time are you going to give yourself. Are you living on $20,000 a year and you can stay living on that for the next couple of years? And the younger you are, the easier, because you're a little bit more flexible. Like I've got a child now. It complicates things.
Sure,
right?
sure. There's other bills to
Right,
consider.
right.
Yeah,
And now we had a roommate when we got first married.
Yeah.
That's probably not an option now.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And no one wants to pay rent to live with a 18-month-old, I promise. But like, so it's all up to your risk tolerance. But okay, so are you making $20,000 and you're happy with that now? Okay, so see if you can say, how much time do you want to give yourself to make some more money? Because if you get your real estate license like I did, I didn't make $1 for, I think it was like 4.5 months.
Yeah.
Didn't make $1. But that was okay because I had 2 years of living expenses.
You built out your runway.
I built out my runway. And
Yeah.
so that's what you need to do, is determine your runway. How long do you want that runway to be? For me, I felt it was very, I worked hard. We worked extra jobs. We saved extra money. We made extra sacrifices so that my runway could be longer. Could I have done it with 6 months? Turns out, yes.
Sure.
But I didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Sure.
And so that's what I tell people. Just save money.
Okay.
And save the amount that you need to feel comfortable and make that leap.
So you saved it. You kind of like, got to that point where you had kind of like the runway, and then you made the leap to kind of like, go down this path. At what point did you start putting out investments? Like, because that is the next step, right?
Yep.
Because you want, again, financial freedom. You want to put that money somewhere where it can give you some sort of cash flow.
Yes, cash flow. It's my favorite word.
Hey.
Okay. The second favorite word is...
Okay, second favorite word?
Well, it was that financial freedom you talked about. But
okay.
yes, that's 2 words?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me about cash flow. How do you determine cash flow?
So cash flow is excess income from... It's not earned income, right? It's passive income from your investments.
Okay.
And so in a real estate sense, when you buy a piece of real estate that you are going to, for example, rent out, right? Whether it's the one you live in, you're renting out a room, or if you buy a property to rent it out, if you buy it and your payment on it all in is $700 and it rents for $900, then you have $200 cash flow coming in.
Yep.
Right. And now it gets a little bit complicated because what if something breaks,
Sure.
right, and that kind of stuff. It's
Maintenance,
not all free and clear. Once you get that $200, it doesn't mean that it's just yours to have and do whatever you want with. So don't take that $200 and go, throw it away. Yeah, throw it away every single month. So again, you want to have some runway with that. But that is the definition of cash flow.
Sure.
I was getting into selling real estate, so I had my runway. I got my real estate license, and I gave myself an avenue to make money, right?
Yep.
My floor was now zero. If I don't sell any houses, if I don't do any real estate, I make $0.
Yep.
But that's okay because I got my runway. And then I've also raised my ceiling, right? I could be teacher of the year 100 years in a row, and I wouldn't get paid any more than I was already getting paid. And the idea is to take that excess earned income, and then I'm going to not change my lifestyle, not buy a new truck, not buy $10,000 in new clothes and go on vacations. I'm going to take that excess and difference in the 35 that I was taking home and the anything extra I can make, and I take that, save it until I've got enough to buy real estate or start a business or stocks or whatever you want to invest in.
What was your first investment?
A college rental house that was on the market. Paul was putting on the market, so I mean, I saw it. It wasn't a crazy good deal. I remember even telling him, like, hey, I think this is a good deal. It's not a great deal. And he was like, yeah, but, if it's a good deal, it's your first one. People also are waiting for that perfect, they want to hit a home run, but when you're just getting started, maybe you just need to get on base, just hit a single, right?
I love that.
Just get on base and let's get some momentum going, because momentum is a very, very real thing that I've learned in my experience in this entrepreneurship, and kind of getting out there. It's like once you get on a wave, sometimes it will carry you. And so he was right, and I was like, and he's been an awesome like mentor. He's very successful. I mean, if you haven't watched that Paul Newman episode, go watch it. But he was like, yeah, I think it's a good deal. If you think it's a good deal, and have your criteria, get educated. Don't just jump in and like buy stuff. Because
I think it's just, to me, I think it's learning the ropes.
Yeah.
Because when you make that first one, it kind of like gives you the ins and outs of like what the processes are.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like get a feel for it. I can attribute that to the way that I started my podcast. We're slowly improving, making those small tweaks, and knowing what to look for. But if you don't start, you'll never start.
Yep.
Right. A lot of people talk about what's it called? Perfection paralysis, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. They're waiting for that like home run, like you said. And so, that first one, you got it like under your belt. What happens next?
So what happens next is the momentum. So first of all, what happens next is when you buy a property, you put your down payment down, right, and it will cover that first month's mortgage payment. So you put all that money down in one time, and then you've got a month with no mortgage payment after that. But the rent comes in, and so I got that check, and I was like, this is amazing, and of course then after that you got to pay the mortgage after that, so it's not quite as big of a check after that. But I was like, man, like you can.
It worked.
It worked, and like nothing crazy happened.
Yeah.
And it was the craziest party house I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
When I went to go,
to walk through,
to walk through, and that's what kind of gave me pause at the beginning. But it wasn't as bad when I bought it as when they moved out at the end of that year.
Yeah.
And everyone's so worried about, what if they trash the house or whatever. I'm talking, they had chopped off stop signs like street signs, like with the wooden post, like just up against the wall, like into the walls. Somebody had fallen through the attic in the sheetrock. Like I guess they were in the attic for something and fallen through in one of the bedrooms.
Oh my goodness.
Trashed beer pong tables everywhere. I mean, like in every room. I mean, it looked like a good time.
Yeah.
If you didn't own the house.
Sure.
Somebody drove through the fence with a truck and that kind of stuff.
This is after you purchased it.
This is after I purchased it.
Yeah.
And so, but they're college kids. They put a deposit down that's
a 1 month rent, 2 months rent.
That's about a month's rent.
Okay.
I had some good cash flow because interest rates were crazy low.
Yep.
And that was another part that really set a light bulb off with me was how low the interest rates were and how much money that saved you when you're just looking at your per month. But we'll come back to that. But anyway, so what that house really did, I'm so glad that it was a party house.
Yeah.
Because it was about the worst you could imagine. And it ended up being like, I think it was like $2,500 or something to like basically remedy it. Because the rest of, the appliances were good. They, they didn't do any kind of like, I'm like.
Structural.
I was like,
holes in walls?
Yeah, small,
small like
small
nicks,
things.
Yeah.
They had posted the street sign up there. That was a
thing.
fix. But it was like, but their deposit covered most of it.
Sure.
And I was like, that's not that bad. And that's pretty much your worst case tenant there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is like good. And then I start looking at my cash, the extra cash flow, how fast it's coming back. And rents go up that next turn.
Yeah.
So we fix it for not that much money. Rents go up. It pays basically the difference back in a month because rents had gone up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, these interest rates are allowing cash flow to be higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
With rents going up, interest rates going down, the difference is your cash flow.
Yep.
And so I'm like, that's
Let's
like,
go.
I'm like, I gotta go. So I buy another one.
How much time difference between that first one and the second one?
3 months.
3 months.
And that's as fast as I could make it happen.
Sure.
I mean, I was like trying to find something,
Sure.
And I'm telling everybody, I'm like, guys, these interest rates. Wait a second, these interest rates are super low, and people are like, oh, it's your job to tell people to buy. Like, I'm like, okay, you can think that if you want to. I'm just telling you,
sure.
Like, we're gonna look back and say interest rates are 3.5% on investment property.
Never seen before.
Yeah, and probably won't again.
Yeah.
And so it turns out, so far we were right. And if they dip back down, I'm gonna keep buying,
Sure.
which I'm not stopping buying now. I'm just saying.
Well, interest rates aren't bad right now.
They're not bad.
In reality.
They're not bad.
And all things considered, they're not. It was just we had never seen anything that low.
Exactly. And so I was going around telling everybody, hey, you should buy some stuff. We should buy some stuff. Everybody should buy some stuff. Like lock in, because I'm like, inflation's coming. They're printing these stimulus. I mean, it doesn't take an economist to to know that inflation's coming. 40% of all money was printed in those 2 years.
That's right.
Inflation's coming.
Yeah.
Let's lock in. If inflation's 8%, or at the time we thought, maybe 6 or 7%, interest rates are 3.5%. You're going to be winning.
Sure.
On top of the other ways that it, builds wealth.
That's right.
The equity pay down, the tax benefits, all that stuff. I'm like, this is a no-brainer.
Sure.
And so my goal became, how much debt can I get into at this interest rate? That literally became my goal. It's like, I'm going to get $1 million in debt on this. I came close. Yeah. Right. But I,
almost got there.
Almost got there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and now I got all that debt locked in at sub 4 rates.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So for as far as long-term wealth.
Yeah.
So, I think, but you're right, doing that, if I hadn't have bought that property because I got scared because it was a kind of a party house and it was a good deal, not a great deal, I wouldn't have ever done the other stuff.
So let's talk about this, right? So, is most of your time now like focused on, selling homes, or now it's like, because it sounds like a lot of your time got taken up with investment, right? Like you are investing yourself. How do you split your time between like the various different projects that you're on?
That's a good question. It just depends. I mean, there's ebbs and flows. I mean, during the past couple of years when there was a lot of activity because interest rates were low, I was spending most of my time handling other people's transactions as an agent and making those things happen. Now, with all the uncertainty, there are still deals happening. I've still had a good year, but there just is less going on. There's just less buying and selling.
You guys are starting to see it right now.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit longer days on market. There's a little bit higher inventory. That kind of thing. So people are just pulling when there's uncertainty. People kind of pull back.
Sure. Talk to me how crazy it was during like the middle of it, where like your interest rate were at the bottom. What was that like listing a home?
It was super fun as just somebody who likes business and likes to be in it, because it was like we'd show up to the office early every day and the phones are ringing. I mean, it was kind of like that like Wall Street kind of feeling, like it was like we come in and it's like, oh, we got stuff to do. I mean, I had like I think I had like the most was like 14 escrows going on at one time. Oh my God. And they're all in different parts of it, and I'm marketing this home and I'm trying to get the appraisal to catch up on this home, and I'm got all these clients on, but it was awesome because meet a ton of people who are buying and selling real estate. A lot of my business is investors, so I'm building that network, and now I have this network of people that have bought and sold with me, and I know that are interested, and so it was so good. It was just, I love meeting people, love talking about real estate. I love helping people make their moves with real estate, and that time, I mean, it was just the pinnacle of. We were just dealing, and it was fun. It was fun. People were making moves. Everybody was happy. Buyers were happy. Sellers were happy. So it was a good time to be in the business.
So tell me about kind of like how you've seen it change, and when did it start changing?
As soon as they kept announcing that they were going to raise their basis points and their interest rates were going to go up, and they're announcing that, and then they did it. And people were like, there's going to be 7 rate hikes this year, and this already, they bumped it 0.5 point, and then they bumped it 0.75, and it's like, so the uncertainty makes people pull back, naturally. But we want to. That's where my business shifted, just because when people pull back, that's when historically we know we need to go harder. And so when people are now we're seeing more like we're going to close on Tuesday on this other house, but I think we've done like 3 purchases in the past couple months, just from people who are wanting to sell now because they feel like they're going to miss the market and that kind of thing. And anyway, when be greedy when others are fearful, and it's like we're seeing that. That's why I've shifted not that I'm still representing several buyers and sellers, and I've got like 3 listings coming up. So that hasn't changed. It's just there is less action on the market.
Gotcha.
So I'm investing my other time with our investing business.
Got you.
Yeah.
Very nice. What's kind of like on the future? What's on the horizon for Bo Knows How to Close?
Well, I think the fun thing about it is I don't really know.
Yeah.
It's kind of Brandon Turner always talks about, the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. He always talks about, it's kind of like you're driving on a foggy mountain and you can't see really far in the distance, but you just kind of keep going. I don't know. I like being able to pivot, and I like being able to get into new things. We're developing a new commercial building for Stephanie's business, for Statesboro Elite Dance Studio.
Awesome.
So I'm, kind of learning about the steps in I bought a commercial piece of property and developing it from the ground up, and so that's fun. I've just got under contract representing a buyer on a mixed-use commercial, $1 million plus building downtown.
Yep.
So just doing moving into the commercial space a little bit, just learning because it's just a different ball game. I've done some commercial sales before, but it's been pretty straightforward. So
Sure.
Learning it from the development side and that kind of thing is exciting as well. So
I will say this: it's been super cool to see your development. I remember when we first met, it was kind of like, you had your teaching job and, you always showed interest in business.
Mm-hmm.
There was always that piece. And then even yet, there was some reservation there. There was, there's that steady income. I don't want to relinquish that control. But you have really jumped down the deep end of entrepreneurship and say hey, this is what I want to do. And the fact that you're kind of not only have done that, but have really kind of honed in the properties, you have kind of this drive. That's amazing, and that's been super fun to watch. Just
hit the gas, man.
Hey, let's go. How do people keep in touch with you? How do they find you?
Bo Knows How to Close on Instagram.
Hey.
I'm on Facebook. Of course, that's pretty much the extent of I'm not on TikTok.
We got to get you on TikTok.
I'm not a consumer. I just try to. But that's how you get in touch. Obviously, my phone number 678-446-6493. Text or call anytime. So we're excited about what's in the future. I'm keep learning about creative financing. If you need cash offers on your house, right? If you need to sell your house, anything like that. It's anything related to real estate. If you just want to call and talk about real estate, I just like talking about real estate. So
love it.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, Bo, thank you so much for coming on to the UKnowAdamTsang podcast. I appreciate your time. And then, looking forward to everything that you're going to be able to accomplish in the future.
Thank you.
Cool, man.